24 Bangladesh floods, analyzing causes, impacts, and responses by Allison, Geidel, and Ayla York. Weather patterns leading to flooding. Seasonal monsoon rainfall from April to July 1974 increased precipitation, causing the 1974 floods. This was caused by heavy rainfall and prolonged widespread flooding along the Brahmaputra River. Brahmaputra River then flooded during heavy rain due to shallow and low lands. Flooding occurred during the Oz crop harvesting and Aman crop planting periods, both rice crops that Bangladesh heavily depends on. Bangladesh's low-lying delta topography makes it susceptible to flooding. Convergence of major rivers inside Bangladesh contributes to the flooding. Magnitude of the flooding. The floods affected more than 40% of the Bangladesh people. The extensive flooding transformed rural areas into vast waterlogged landscapes, disrupting normal life and agriculture. 3 districts were severely affected: Rangpur, Mymensingh, and Sylhet. At least 40% of the country's population was displaced or missing, and an estimated 1.5 million people died as a result of the floods. At the peak of flooding, 40% of Bangladesh was underwater, hindering agriculture, people's way of life, and recovery efforts during the floods. This contributed to one of the worst famines in the 20th century, as the flooding initiated agricultural hardships. The destruction of key crops for Bangladesh that they were economically dependent on were devastated. Climate change may increase the frequency and intensity of future floods. Rising sea levels and erratic weather patterns could exacerbate conditions, making future floods even more devastating for the vulnerable populations.
Societal and economic impacts of the 1974 floods. About 1.5 million people died. The staggering number highlights the catastrophic impact of the disaster on human life and the severity of the flooding. Devastated crops, specifically jute, a major source of employment and income. This loss not only affected livelihood but also disrupted the local economy reliant on agricultural products. These floods caused widespread starvation, especially in surrounding areas. The destruction of crops increased food scarcity, affecting millions. The 1974 floods triggered significant price inflation, leading to unaffordability of essential food items for many. The combination of crop loss and market distribution resulted in increased hardship for the affected population. Infrastructure damage from the floods further complicated recovery efforts. Roads, bridges, and transportation networks were severely impacted, hampering relief distribution and increasing the burden on the affected communities. Response and mitigation strategies. Government attempted to import food but faced challenges due to a low credit rating. Public distribution systems and relief efforts were implemented but were insufficient due to food shortages and the drastic number of affected citizens. The U.S. food aid was withheld due to political reasonings, worsening the situation. Long-term flood control measures were not in place at the time of the floods. A response was put in place during the common flooding seasons in Bangladesh. Strategies included reinforcing housing and the flood warning systems. Post-famine efforts to improve food management and food security were initiated. Efforts were initiated to improve food security through better crop management and agricultural practices. Initiatives were aimed to improve the agricultural sector long term.